Hi everybody. So I am cleaning my house because I'm home and I've got people who are coming to look at a couple of rooms that we have to rent out. So I'm getting everything spiffy. And in the process, I decided I should probably put out a few more notes about the rooms being available on like Facebook. And so I was browsing around some Facebook groups, and I happened to stumble across someone else's advertisement for the room in their house. Because I wanted to read other people's ads and see if, like, I don't know, how do I compare to what they're asking for and looking for and things like that. And, okay, Dobby, hold on. I gotta let Dobby out. What is it? What is it? You gonna go check it out? Go check it out. Yeah, he's like, something's over there, Mom. I don't actually think anything's over there, but there might be a deer. We have a deer that's been hanging out on the property lately. Anyways, so I'm reading through a couple of other ads, and this one, I was like, it sounded familiar because it was from a couple years ago. It actually just popped up on a Facebook search. And I'd actually seen it once before, and I remember at the time I had thought these people were very specific and really demanding and expecting a lot from their housemate, and it still felt that way. It was like very much like, you will do this and this and this and this. And I was like, okay, I'm sure they'll find someone. But what was interesting is, before I recognized it at the beginning, like the third thing that they mentioned that they wanted from someone was blank, blank, liberal, blank, blank, blank. And I was thinking, okay, so here's the core of this very short video. I am looking for someone who is either holding American values and they are an American citizen, or they have been seeking out American values and they are a lawfully present legal immigrant in the process of becoming an American. I'd also be okay with someone who is not becoming an American and is from somewhere else in the world and maybe is here temporarily as a student, but they have to hold American values, because the number one American value is respect for diversity. This is the quintessential idea that you can have a Republican husband and a Democratic wife, Democrat Party wife, and that they're super happy and get along just fine, even though their voting habits and politics are a little different. So that's the America, or the American dream, that I grew up on, that was being pretty well promoted by everything from Hollywood to, I guess, whatever else it was that society was doing at that time. Sesame Street back in the day was different than Sesame Street nowadays, although maybe you've heard about Elmo, or maybe you haven't. Anyway, so not to diverge. So I thought this was interesting because here's the deal. If you say, I only want to live with a liberal, or like happened to my housemate and I back in January, 3 days after Trump's inauguration, we both were fired because we were doing house cleaning for a woman who apparently only wanted someone to sweep, mop, and scrub her toilets if they also voted the same way that she did. So if you have gotten to the point where you only want to live with and will only employ and will only have as friends on social media and will only talk to family members who vote the way you do, then you're no longer actually really an American. You don't hold American values. You've fallen into tribalism, because that's what tribalism is. It's if you're not with us, you're against us. If you don't think the way I do, you're my enemy. Tribalism is brutal. It's there for a reason. It can keep human beings alive in brutal situations, but it's nothing to strive towards. And so I realized that I would be perfectly happy living with someone who, like, voted differently than me, and had a different religious viewpoint than I do, and this and that, because that's an opportunity for really interesting conversations. I think one of the most boring things is, and I don't get bored easily. It's really hard to get bored when you grew up like I did in the world before easy recreation and instant entertainment and technology. There wasn't boredom. There was, oh, gee, I'm going to go, well, I guess I'll play with mud, or I'll watch these ants crawl across the ground, or I'll build something. I'll climb a tree. I'll read a magazine, even though I can't quite read yet because I'm 4. It's like boredom is rare, but I'll tell you what I find boring. I find it really boring. And I've actually experienced this because I'm like, oh God, no, it's one of those situations. And I'm just like watching the clock and counting the minutes till I can leave. It is boring to be sitting in a coffee shop at a table with 3 or 4 other people who all have the same opinion on some politically hot topic. And they all want to sit around and they all want to talk about how they feel about it. And they all want to nod their heads and agree with each other and confirm that the other person is right and just jabber on in a head nodding agreement. That I find boring. What I enjoy, hey, my mama bird, it's been raining, so babies can't come out today. They'd get too cold. They're really young. What I do love is having a conversation with someone who is completely different from me, because they are a wealth of amazing information, things I can learn. It's so exciting just to sit there and listen. So, anyways, it was a reminder to me of the tribalism that has come to dominate the Midnight Blue region where I live, and that a number of these different ads that were looking for housemates in particular were specifying basically, how you had to have voted or what your political viewpoint has to be. And there's really not much of a difference between that and someone in the South saying, hey, I only rent to white people. Why would they say I only rent to white people? Because they assume that black people are a certain way, white people are different, and if I rent to a white person, I'm going to get these behavior characteristics that I'm looking for, because those people were tribalist. Racism in the South was tribalist. And there's so many different ways in which people can fall into tribalism. So anyways, I'm like mind blown at the idea of even asking after a person's political perspective. I'd be like, are you clean? Are you willing to be, respect quiet hours from like 10 p.m. to 8 a.m. roughly? Do you have a good history with previous people you've rented with? Do you have reliable income source? And do you feel comfortable when I'm just chatting with you? And are you honest and trustworthy? And do I feel safe around you? And do you actually like the type of environment that I live in? Will you enjoy chickens? Are the cocks crowing at 5 a.m. not going to bother you? And do you like dogs and cats? That's what I want to know. Not how you voted. That's none of my business, because I'm an American and that's none of my business. So anyways, have a good day.